everyone, TPS Miner here. Welcome back to the TPS Miner channel. Today I want to go through a rig build, not to actually build one, but I want to go through the hardware components list. And what I want to focus on are these two rigs that I've got built here. And these are really good budget mining rigs. So I want to walk through all of the different parts I use to build these rigs and give you prices just to give folks who are thinking about getting into mining or just getting started into mining or just looking to build a small mining rig an idea of what all parts they're going to need and what the cost is going to be to build it. So let's hop over to the computer and start walking through it. Okay, we're back at the computer, and before we get into this, I want to make a few comments. The first thing I wanted to say is none of this information contained in this video is financial advice. Really what this is me wanting to share my experience with getting into mining and how I've started building my rigs. I've only been mining now for a few months. I started mining in July, August timeframe of 2021. I've made a lot of mistakes. I continue to make a lot of mistakes, but I'm also very budget conscious. And so I wanted to spend some time today sharing with you the best deals that I've found that have worked well for me. All of the items that I'm going to review today are items that I do personally own and personally use. So these may not be the least expensive. There may be other options out there, but I don't want to review any items that I don't personally own. Okay, with that being said, let's jump in. The first thing I wanted to talk about was the mining rig frame. So the frames that I have are these Haloya mining rig frames. They hold up to 8 GPUs. Personally, and you saw the size of them based on what I had out in my mining garage, I don't see how these hold 8 GPUs comfortably. I think they're more appropriate for 6 GPUs. And for a beginner miner, someone just trying to get into the mining scene, you could do 2, 3, 4 very comfortably in these rigs, and they would work quite well. So you can see the dimensions here, and this particular rig, or the frame right now, is going for $62.99 on Amazon. Okay, the next thing is the power supply. So the power supply that I am using in one of my rigs is this EVGA Supernova 1000 GT. It's an 80 plus gold 1000 watt fully modular power supply. So this is a great power supply. When I first bought this power supply, it was selling for $149 on Amazon. I do want to point out that there is a limitation with this power supply. So as you can see, the VGA slots, there are only 5. So this particular power supply can only be used to power 5 GPUs. So if you do plan on going above 5 in this rig for this build, it may not be worth it for you to buy this power supply. I bought this power supply because of the price and really just wanting to test it out. So it's working well for me, but when I do get to the point where I exceed 5 GPUs on a rig, I am going to have to swap this out for something else. And I will provide an alternative later on in this video. But again, all in all, good power supply, and for the price, it's getting a little bit too pricey for me, but it is what it is. Okay, the next item I want to talk about is the motherboard. So I bought 2 of these particular motherboards, and I'll explain why in a moment. Right now, you can see these are going for $122.39 on Amazon. It's the Gigabyte B460M DS3HV2 motherboard. A good motherboard for a starter rig. They are very easy to use, but the problem with these is they only have 4 PCIe lanes. So this becomes problematic as you get to a 5th or 6th card for the rig. Again, I do have a solution for this. So you might ask, TPS, why did you buy this? Well, I bought it because of the cost, and also the compatibility of the CPU that goes with it. So again, for for $122.39, it's getting a little pricey. When I bought mine, they were sub $100. I believe it was around $90 when I bought these. So again, I did buy 2 of them. And I bought them because they pair up with this Intel 10th Gen Core i3 CPU. It's a 10100F that is $91.75. So at the time, I was getting a brand new in-box motherboard with CPU for under $200, around $180. Great price point for me. You can probably find things a little bit cheaper on the used market, Facebook Marketplace or eBay. But to get the CPU motherboard combo brand new in box for $190 or $180, I just couldn't pass up the opportunity. Okay, so the next item on the list is the RAM. So the RAM that I go with, I use this Corsair Vengeance 16 gig DDR4 DRAM, the 3200 megahertz RAM. I buy these in a kit. It's a 16 gig kit. Comes with 2 8 gig, with the 2 8 gig RAM sticks. And for each one of the rigs, I only use 1 8 gig stick. So I mentioned before, I have 2 of these rigs built that I'm covering today. I bought this pack of RAM and split it amongst the 2 rigs, so 1 8 gig per rig. So that works out to be about $33, $33.50 per rig. Okay, the next thing we want to take a look at is solid state drive. So you're going to need an SSD to be able to load your operating system. And for me, I prefer using the GPUrisers.com SSD boot drive. It's a 64 gig drive. It's more than enough to fit a Windows 10 distribution or a Hive OS operating system. And they're currently selling for $29.99. You can get discount codes that'll get you 10% off at GPUrisers.com. I personally do not have one, but I do know ChumpChangeXD has one for the Misfit Mining group. Red Panda Mining has one, as well as the Hobbyist Miner. So go ahead and check out their channels, subscribe while you're there, and grab that 10% off discount code for GPUrisers.com. Okay, the next item that you're going to need, also from GPUrisers.com, is risers for your graphics cards, for your GPUs. So you have 2 options to choose from here at GPUrisers.com. You've got an 8 capacitor 6-pack for $79.99 or a 4 capacitor 6-pack for $64.99. I personally use the $64.99 4 capacitor risers, not because I don't like the 8 capacitor risers. It's just that I haven't needed any new ones since I bought the 4 capacitor risers. So again, $15 difference. You're getting a much higher quality riser with these 8 capacitor risers, but I don't have any, so I'm not going to recommend them. So I'm using the $64.99 risers in my evaluation here today. Again, great risers. Strongly recommend using these instead of the ones you may find on Amazon, lesser quality. These are your interface to your graphics card into your rig. This is an area where I would not recommend going cheap. So go ahead and buy quality in this case. Okay, so that basically rounds out the rig build. Now, I do want to talk about a few other things that we had covered earlier. The first thing I'm going to talk about is power supplies. So we had gone through and we'd looked at the EVGA 1000 watt ATX power supply. I want to show you an alternative that I highly recommend. So for the price point, we were talking a price of $196 for the ATX power supply. For $5 less, $191, you can get an HP server power supply, 94% platinum efficient power supply with 16 6+2 pin PCIe cables and the X11 amp breakout board. So basically this breakout board is going to allow you to see the voltage and the current being consumed by whatever is plugged into this power supply. And the 16 PCIe cables is going to give you enough cable capacity to be able to easily power 6 GPUs that are going to be in this rig. So again, I know these HP server power supplies can be a little intimidating. You know, you do need to know that if you're running these power supplies on a standard 120 volt circuit, then these are only capable of providing 900 watts of power. If you're running 240 volt, then you can get the full 1200 watts. And for any of these power supplies, you need to obey the 80% rule because these are going to be running nonstop. So with that 900 watt limit, your 80% rule is going to get you to 720 watts. So this power supply is going to be able to give you safely 720 watts to your rig. Okay, so again, my recommendation, save yourself $5 and get these HP power supplies, the server power supplies. I've heard a lot of people talking about the concerns about the noise, the high-pitched fan. I put a cheap $10 desk fan blowing across my HP server power supply, and honestly, the desktop fan makes more noise than the HP server power supply. So again, wouldn't worry about that. I strongly recommend using these. If you do make a purchase through Parallel Miner, again, go ahead and check out Red Panda Mining's site. He does have a discount code that'll save you 2% off of a purchase from Parallel Miners. Okay, let's move on to address the next issue we talked about. The motherboard that I talked about only has 4 PCIe lanes. So how do we fix that? We do a splitter. So this Excite, however we say this, PCIe 1 to 4 PCIe Express splitter will allow you to put this splitter into the X16, the 16X lane, and split this into 4 PCIe lanes. So I do use this in my Vader rig, and I use this particular brand. So again, you can find lower cost alternatives, but I don't want to recommend or review something that I don't personally have. So $32.99, you can take that motherboard that can only support 4 GPUs, and you can really get this to be up to 7 GPUs really with the splitter. Okay, the next item on the list is the SATA to USB adapter. So the reason I picked this up, when you're trying to install your operating system onto your SATA drive, it can be rather complex if you go start from a USB and boot your rig from a USB, and then you need to transfer the image over onto the SATA. So for $11.99, I thought, you know what, I'm going to go and buy this cable, and that way I can do a direct install from my computer directly onto my SSD. Then when I plug my SSD into my rig and I boot the rig, the operating system's there. It's a lot simpler, and for $11.99, I thought, you know what, I'm all about simplifying my life. Okay, so let's hop over to the spreadsheet and let's talk about what we've covered here. So we have covered the mining rig frame, the power supply, motherboard, CPU, RAM, solid state drive, and the risers. Everything you need to run a rig without the GPUs, and the price is coming in $624.22 before tax. Not too bad. If you're into mining or you're looking to get into mining, you know that this is not a cheap hobby to get into, but $624 to get a full 6-card rig without GPUs seems to me to be a pretty reasonable price point where we are in the market right now. Again, some extra things that you can look at. We talked about the server power supply. That's going to shave $5 off of your total price here. You're down to $619. If you want to go ahead and invest in the 1 to 4 PCIe splitter for an extra $33, you're good to go. The SATA to USB adapter, $12. It's going to simplify your life. I just realized here, really this $66.99, you could cut that in half, and this drops another $33. So you're sub $600 to be able to get a GPU rig that will support, or a mining rig that is going to support 6 GPUs. All right. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope this was educational. I hope it helps someone when you're going out and thinking about whether or not you're going to build a rig, and if you are, which one you're going to build or how you're going to build it. Again, these are all parts and pieces that I use personally. So thank you very much for watching this video. If you found it helpful, please hit that like button, give us a thumbs up. And if you're interested, please go ahead and consider subscribing for more content in the future. All right. I hope everyone has a great rest of your day, and we'll talk to you again soon.